Well, here we are. Good morning, Dima. How are you doing this morning?
Hello, Rob. Hello, everyone.
Good to see you all this morning. Just a quick reminder, we're going live. We want you to engage. We want you to interact. So leave a comment. Tell us how you're doing. Ask us a question. We've got an amazing guest today that we're going to have some questions for. So it's going to be good. But before we get started, is that a pelican on your chest?
Nice shirt.
Hey,
I like your shirt.
come on.
I love your shirt.
I like that red is really snappy. Look at that. Woo.
I think I'm gonna order another one that's blue too. That's very cool.
I got
So
the wifey one. She likes
would like to get a shirt for yourself as well. This is a campaign. It's called Red Stick Together, and all the proceeds are going to help BRAF in Baton Rouge, and of course to support our community during this time. So they have it in three colors: the blue, the red, and the yellow. So Red Stick Together.
Red Stick Together. Love it. And we had Matt Darden on talking about it. So it was awesome hearing how all this has gone. And yeah, pick up a shirt. Pick up a shirt. Definitely well worth it. The fabric is amazing, right? And it's so soft.
It feels great.
It's one of my favorite new shirts. So I love it. Well, look, we have another initiative and a few actually that we have our guest who has been a part of, Deborah Sternberg Roth, and we want to bring her on right now. Good morning, Deborah.
Good morning. Good to see you both.
Hello. We've been excited and waiting for today so we can talk with you.
Well, it's great to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Come on, we have to have you. You're amazing. Well, look, you do so much in the community, and I think the first time I met you was at Rotary Club of Baton Rouge.
That's right.
But then I hear you go and leave something to do something else. And I mean, it seemed like a jump at the time. It seemed like something way different than what you were used to. So, and I think that kind of leads into Young Entrepreneurs Academy of Baton Rouge. So could you kind of give us just a little bit of history back when I knew you at Rotary Club of Baton Rouge and kind of guide us along to where you are now? Because even recently you're doing more amazing things.
Well, sure. So when we first met, I was president of Starmount Life Insurance Company, which was our family insurance company headquartered here in Baton Rouge. And when I exited Starmount after 13 years, I decided I wanted to launch an organization, a nonprofit, to help young people who are interested in becoming entrepreneurs. I come from a very entrepreneurial family, and so business is sort of in my blood. And so we launched the Young Entrepreneurs Academy of Baton Rouge for 8th through 12th grade students in the 9-parish capital area region.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why is that important for entrepreneurship at a young age?
Yeah.
Well, we really wanted to build a pipeline. So there are lots of pathways for students who are interested in STEM and other, paths, but we didn't see one here for young people who are interested in building something and creating and being an entrepreneur. So in speaking with the dean at LSU's College of Business, I said, it's important that we have this pipeline into the business school. And even if a young person doesn't decide to go to university, they still need a strong foundation and actually launch a business and see what that's like. So that's what they do in the Young Entrepreneurs Academy.
Well, and Dima, I know you have questions, but on top of that, though, too, Deborah, like even if they decide not to take that track, right, the college track, they're getting exposed to it. They've been on campus. They're talking to the dean.
Yes.
This
and part of it is
any other experience you get on a come on.
I know. Imagine being 13, 14 years old and you attend classes at LSU every Wednesday for 3 hours from 5 to 8 p.m. You're taught by a College of Business instructors. And then we have guest speakers and entrepreneurs coming in every week and mentors like you, Rob, who, spend week upon week helping students flesh out an actual business plan. And then speakers like you, Dima, who participate in CEO roundtables and really share your experiences with these high school students. And it levels the playing field across whatever socioeconomic differences they may arrive in the academy having. By the first class, they're like, everything is accessible to everybody. And that's the idea. So they can have their own networks and continue building as they grow up in the region.
Wow. So my memory is, Deborah, when you initially resigned from the company.
That's right.
And then Deborah and we met in my office and we were just talking, and she said, I want to do something, but I don't know what it is. So we just talked random things. And then a month later, we got together and she's like, I got it. The Young Entrepreneur Academy. And she had the whole thing planned in a month. It was so amazing.
I remember, gosh.
I love it. I love it. And, you know, I was like, I am still so impressed by these young entrepreneurs. So when I met them, how they're presenting, how they're understanding about marketing and business, and so creative with their ideas. It's amazing. I still want to buy the pillow that has the lavender in it. I haven't got this one yet.
We're going to put it all up on our site. So as soon as it's live, then we'll have a store, and I'll make sure to post it out so you can see. And you can appreciate some of these students do not have the soft skills to stand in front of 10 people and speak publicly. And from the second or third class, they have to stand up and present just an idea in front of 30 people. And, you know, by April, they're presenting in front of 250 people, an actual business for real seed funding. So it's a real transformation for many students.
Yeah. And for the parents too, because when I attended the event, I was observing the parents and how much, not just that they're proud of their kids, but how much they're learning as well from this experience.
I know. I think there's a lot to offer adults who have launched businesses, and what can we do to help them even propel those businesses even more. So it's an idea.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
And I want to, you know, one of the things.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, you go.
You talked about the soft skills and the speaking skills, and you're right. I mean, there's a lot that you don't come with, but you leave with a foundation of these skills and these techniques and tips for you to speak or to pitch, right? So if you didn't have it before this experience, I was so impressed. Day one as a mentor, we were meeting in that large lobby, and they were holding doors open for me. They were asking me how I was doing, creating small talk, introducing themselves. As a kid, I was not introducing myself. You're lucky if you got Rob out or a little mumble. I definitely didn't say my full name clearly or introduced who I was with any kind of impact. But day one of me, before I even met my mentor, I mean, my mentee, I was impressed immediately.
Well, remember, these are students who are self-selecting. They're like, I am interested in business. So when they see anybody from the community walking into our class, they're like, who is that person and how can I connect with that person? So they really want to make a good impression, because you may be the person that helps them connect to the next person in their, in their pipeline. And so they get it. This is like their sport, or one of them, because we have people who also play football and also run cross country and everything else in between. And some are taking their sports that they do with school and outside of school, extracurricular sports, and creating businesses around them. 2 students got together this year and created a business around golf.
Yep.
So it's really an intersection of a lot of loves and passions. And then how do we make a product or service that we can offer to people?
Shank golf or something, right? It was
Shank golf. Yes. I know. And really, we have no restrictions on the kinds of ideas that the students can come up with. The only restriction is that in high school, you can't launch a business that requires you to purchase real estate. But other than that, because you are in high school,
are you serious?
But besides that, you can launch any business you want.
So much for all the new landlords out there we're trying to cultivate, right?
I know. Just give them a few years.
No land purchases, everybody. That's impressive, but you're saying it's wide open. I mean, that you're not really limiting much at all. So the creativity can just flourish.
And it's for-profit and nonprofit. So it's really up to the students. Do they want to, what are they passionate about? Because if you're not interested, as you both know, then it's going to be really hard to spend a year fleshing that out if you're not passionate about the idea. So really, where's the passion?
And it's intense, right? I mean, it's an intense program. You have to be committed. And that was sort of what also impressed me, was the level of commitment, devotion, and dedication, not just to what they're trying to bring to the table, but what they're trying to learn every week. I mean, they were staying. What time did they wind up leaving after that Wednesday, right? After their mentor sessions?
So it's, it's supposed to be from 5 to 8 p.m. And there were some evenings by 9 o'clock, we're like, okay, well, we should really wrap it up, because there were stragglers who had more questions, and we're like, well, what do you think of this? And the professors were amazing, and we would all hang around, and mentors would hang around, because what's better than having inquisitive, smart young people who really want to take it to the next level? And it's a lot of work. So if you're interested in launching a business, this is for you. And it's about 100 hours over the course in class, over the course of the year. And, and because it is so much, because there's work between classes, LSU saw, wow, this really is a great pipeline. So if you graduate, you're eligible for 3 credits from the College of Business if you enroll at LSU. So there's a huge, opportunity for these young people as well at the university level.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Deborah, what are you doing to stay connected with them now? Are you continuing to do the Wednesday meetings? And what advice are you giving them? Because I'm sure right now they're very shocked, especially they're just starting something new and they're excited about the experience, and this whole pandemic happened. So what advice are you giving them that we can learn from too?
Yeah. So we had our big investor panel in March, and then we went virtual. So our classes continued online with the instructors, because we didn't want to skip a beat, right? So, and everyone attended. They all went on Zoom and they all attended class, and we had our instructors, teach the curriculum. So we continued, and they graduated on April 21st, and we did it virtually. And we had secured Secretary Don Pearson from LED as one of our speakers, as well as Ashley Bell, who runs and oversees one of the regions for the Small Businesses Association and is a graduate of LSU. So while Mr. Bell was supposed to come, and be our commencement speaker in person and spend some time at his alma mater, hopefully he'll do that next year. He joined us, and we had a 1-hour commencement virtually for these students. And we had, over 160 people join and celebrate these students and these student CEOs. So now that they've graduated and they've all received some level of seed funding because they pitched their ideas, and they were each awarded, each business, all 21 businesses are filed with the Secretary of State's office and have received seed funding. So now it's, we're watching and helping those students figure out how to use their seed funding based on their business plans that they worked on with their mentors. And LED and the LSU College of Business want to continue to offer programming and curriculum for graduates of the Young Entrepreneurs Academy. So I'm working with those organizations. So any graduate for any year, we'll survey them. Are they looking for more assistance on marketing, manufacturing? Where are their gaps? And then LSU will create modules and teach ongoing classes in partnership with LED to help these young people continue to leverage resources and launch their businesses successfully.
That's incredible.
That's outside of YEA BR, and it's super important to keep it going.
I've heard you say pipeline, and I'm so glad you say this, because most of the time when we're saying pipeline, it's about the pipeline leaving this great state of ours. It's about our talent leaving, and we now have a system to cultivate it in state, in these 9 parishes, with the youth that are going to lead our generation soon. And not only do they get 100 hours, right, of real life and applicable knowledge, some crazy exposure to entrepreneurship and all that, they are right now finding themselves in a very interesting position where they're a startup and the crisis, this pandemic hits. So I immediately started thinking about my mentee and Skylar, you know, like how we got to get that website online. We got to start selling products online. You know, and I just kept going back. Like, I wish I had another chance to talk to these amazing leaders, because right now is an amazing testing ground to see if it's not only recession proof, but if you have the right business plan, if you can think about other creative ways to, you know, innovate your business. And they got an amazing lesson before. Now they're getting one very, very close to home, and it's affecting everyone worldwide. So for them to adjust those business plans and see if they can, you know, bulletproof it right now, that's my best advice. Use this as another 100 hours plus of experience and education, and learn from this lesson.
And that's really what, you know, the speakers at graduation, so Secretary Pearson and Mr. Bell, were reiterating. You know, let's take this as an opportunity to make sure that your business plans are super solid and can be flexible enough to weather this storm and this pandemic. And if it is, then you're in great shape. And if it's not, then you have a network of people you can lean on to help you modify and make it so. Yeah.
It mimics the business environment. And Dima, you know this. I mean, you're literally coaching folks on some of these very things. This mimics the real world so well. This program that you created, and not all of them are as holistic or as comprehensive as this. And that's why this is so important. That's why Young Entrepreneurs of Baton Rouge is so important. And just thank you, Deborah. Thank you for all the staff that supports you. You know, thank you for everyone behind the scenes, all the partnerships, LED, you know, College of Business, LSU. None of this could happen with just, you know, that would be you. You might not have got much sleep last night with the storm, but you wouldn't be getting any sleep with having to do this all by yourself. So we really need to say hats off to everyone that's helping you and these folks.
And I'll
make
say
it
couldn't happen. Yeah, it couldn't happen. We have over 100 businesses that support the Academy, whether in kind or financially or as guest speakers. You know, they deliver food every week, and we've supported those restaurants and more. The Academy has during this challenging time. We've absolutely paid it forward and paid it back, because every week we have high school students who are always hungry. I have 2 of them in my house. They're always hungry. So restaurants, you know, bring us food and help feed these students so that they can, you know, keep going and chug through a very intense 3 hours. And we couldn't do it without our partnerships, without question.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with Rob with everything he said, and your amazing leadership. Like, oh my goodness, to put this idea together and to get everybody excited. I don't know anyone who heard about the Young Entrepreneurs Academy who's not so excited and want to learn more about them. So I want to go back to a question you didn't answer, Deborah. What tips are you giving them right now, other than being like proof and all of this? What are you talking with them about? What are some of the questions they're asking about the pandemic and the effect on the business?
Yeah, so what they're really focused on is how do we keep, you know, moving forward with manufacturing? Do we pivot, and how do we pivot? Some of them are easier to get off the ground than others. Many are working on websites, to Rob's point, to find a way so they don't have to, you know, if they're baking cakes and cupcakes. Well, it's a different system now. And so how do you get into professional kitchens, and are things available? Some things are on pause, but that's okay, because they also need to finish high school. They're doing all of this on top of high school. So many of them are just trying to get through the end of the year, which is reasonable, and finish up exams if they have them, but certainly the school year. And we'll see, again, we're going to be in partnership with LED and LSU over the summer in connection with these students and the graduates from last year to figure out where people are, and we can track everybody. And then how do we get additional resources, but also, even more importantly, how do we connect them to people who have ability to take on work right now? And some people can, and, you know, some people are not in that position right now. So
Yep.
We're really trying to look business by business and helping some launch websites so that they can take orders online, or at least give them tools, because it's really up to them to do that work. And there's some easy tools online to work with WordPress and others. And these are smart kids. So many of them are, working on it on their own, and some are coders. And so they want to figure it out on their own. Some have, Face Tutor, which is connecting tutors around the world with students. What better time than right now to look at that? So Thomas O'Connor is the student who launched that business, and so he's piloting it. It wasn't quite ready, but he's like, if I don't launch it now, then I'm missing a huge opportunity. So he's working on getting a pilot with a small subset of tutors to connect students. So each business is so different. There's no real answer across the board, except let's look at your business and figure out what baby steps you can take, if not bigger, to get off the ground. Yeah.
And for a Face Tutor, imagine all the parents that are homeschooling right now. How amazing would it be to just give their kids to a tutor online for a couple of hours and take a break and get work done.
Right, and think of the educators. It's like Uber for tutors, right? So think of the educators who may want to earn a little bit extra money if they can be connected and tutor for an hour in math or English or whatever the topic is that this student needs help in. They can get connected virtually. So that's one that needs to move quickly.
Yes.
And it's amazing how some of these are very easy to implement. Others are going to take a complete shift, right? Yeah. And that's sort of that pivot that we were talking about. They've got to figure out what that's going to look like. Maybe if it requires additional funding, different marketing, right? A different message or communication style to get that out. And one thing I'm sure you talked about that even I took for granted in my own business was supply chain. Yeah. Holy cow. Supply chain and funding right now. Are you kidding me? So
it's true. And, and some people, so that's what I was saying, like some businesses are sort of on pause because they can't, they're not essential, right? So to get into the queue with a manufacturer doesn't make a ton of sense right this second. Right. Yeah. And those manufacturers aren't really focused on just any business right now. So it just depends on what the business is and understanding the times that we live in, which is a huge lesson, as we've discussed, in and of itself. So if these students can weather this storm and continue to think creatively and be entrepreneurial, which they all are, they'll be fine. And it just may take a little bit more time than some of them wish, but they'll be fine.
Wow, that's amazing. So let's talk about 19 Thanks.
Yeah.
That's a whole new initiative that's absolutely amazing. So tell us more about it.
Yeah, so the week of, it was like April 6th or so, that week, I was at home like most of us and thinking, I understand totally why there's so much focus on, the number of people who've been infected by COVID-19, the number of people who've lost their lives by COVID-19, and I wondered if there was a way we could turn COVID-19 on its head a bit and take the number 19 and use it as a unifier for the entire state of Louisiana. So there are many cities, and I know we've all heard about them, across the world that are coming together and showing appreciation for essential workers, which is phenomenal. And I wondered if on the 19th of every month at 1900 hours or 7 o'clock, could the entire state of Louisiana, so it's different, it's a statewide initiative, come together in some form and show our unified appreciation for all essential workers. Of course, those on the front lines of the hospitals, of course, doctors, nurses, and all that keep the hospitals running, and those who are in sanitation and those in the postal work, across the grocery stores, the truck drivers who are getting the food here, the farmers that are creating food, that, so the idea was just a little bit broader, and we launched it quickly. So a week and a half later on April 19th, I don't do anything
So
slow.
fast.
I was like, why wait until July? We need it now. We need something positive, right?
We got to give shout out. We got to give shout out to Michael on this one, right? We got to give a
Yes.
quick. I mean, come on, that
So
website
my husband
popped up out of nowhere.
Right. So I was in the house. I was sort of pacing around. I was like, "This is the idea," and he's like, "Oh, we need a website." I was like, "Of course we do." Okay, so I'm not the technical one in the family. Michael is, thank goodness. So at 2:30 a.m. That day, we finally went to bed. But Michael had created the 19thanks.org site and the logo we came up with. And really, I started calling people because while, many people are also raising money, again, really important. This was not about raising funds. This was about showing gratitude. And so the ask of people is really, record a message of thanks to all essential workers across our state. And the governor quickly jumped on board and recorded a message, a PSA. Drew Brees, we reached out to him and he was so gracious and quickly did the same. So did Congressman Graves. So when you go onto the site, as you'll see a number of people who were quick to record messages of thanks and appreciation. And then there were so many others in the public domain on YouTube that we just, because we launched so quickly, we wanted people to see across, the world that people are showing thanks. And if so inspired, you can ring a bell at 7 p.m. on the 19th. You can make noise. You can write a note of appreciation. Or, we partnered with Feeding Louisiana, which supports all of the food banks across the state. So if you wanted to give a donation to Feeding Louisiana to your specific food bank, they created a landing page so that if you click on, donate meals, it takes you to that landing page. And so you can pick the food bank of your choice in your region. Same for United Way of Louisiana. These are both statewide entities doing tremendous work around COVID-19 and really supporting the people of our state. So if people are inspired, they can make donations, they can support those entities or any other. We're not, really, that's great. That's all lagniappe. And let's come together on the 19th and show our appreciation. So we're actually, you mentioned Matt Darden earlier in the show. We're actually working with Red 6 Media, so shout out to them, on a really creative idea for May. So it's not fully baked yet, but as soon as it is, I'll ping both of you so you can know what's going on, and it's going to be so much fun. And I think that's huge, right? Let's have some fun. Everyone needs a little break.
Yeah, to balance everything else that we're experiencing.
Yes.
So amazing.
Yeah. So
well, and did you see the Hearts from Home BR on there? Like it's, and again, I'm just so thankful that we're getting the cross collaboration from one group to the next. And you showed Hearts from Home there. You're talking about you can donate to the food banks. You don't care which one. That flexibility by design is so important and so impactful now. It just opens up the floodgates for funding, or floodgates for donating, or floodgates for just giving back in any which way that you can, right?
And that's the idea, right? There's so much flexibility. It was just a kernel of an idea that's sort of taken off, which is phenomenal. I'm super excited. And ExxonMobil called, and they're really excited and want to help us expand it across the state. And so other companies are jumping on board, which is great. And because it's just a simple idea of how do we come together and show our gratitude, it's hard to say that that's not something we want to get behind, right? So that is the idea in a nutshell.
Dima, why should we express gratitude?
Oh, I thought you said Dima.
Oh, I did. Dima. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Dima. Why should we
gratitude is so important. First, it helps us to appreciate everything we have. It balances all the negative things that are going on. It just makes us be present, which is so important. So, and especially right now, like I know there's a lot of bad things are going on and so many people are negatively impacted. We're all impacted. Yeah. That's why it's so important to realize that there's still good things going on in our lives, and to when we remember them, that helps us to keep moving forward, because I know a lot of people are feeling stuck. It's hard to move forward. So gratitude gives us gives us the energy to do that.
And it's
I
an
would say,
acknowledgement, right? You're giving other people some energy and some life too, but just by being grateful, you're passing it on. What were you saying, Deborah?
I was going to say, I think, a silver lining in all of this is really, we're seeing so much good in people that my hope is that just continues.
Yes.
And
Yes,
we don't forget, right? We don't forget how nice it is and how important it is and what is important actually. So we're so lucky and fortunate during this pandemic to have technology, right? So we can reach out so easily and just say, thank you, I'm thinking about you. How's your family? What's going on? I want nothing except to check in. And those little check-ins may seem small, and to the receiver, they are so big and so meaningful and important, especially as so many of us are struggling to find our way financially, mentally, just so many emotions at this particular time. So it's, I think, more important than ever that we do reach out to our neighbors, our friends, even strangers. I was running in the neighborhood the other day and the mail carrier was delivering mail and I just yelled, "Thank you so much." And she looked at me and she's like, "You're welcome." I'm like, "No, really, thank you." And I just kept running. But, it's just, as you see people, important.
My daughter and I were sitting on the bench. We had just taken a little walk around the neighborhood, and I was hoping we would get because when the garbage truck rolls through, sometime it's early, but mail for us comes a little bit late. So I was really hoping, and we were sitting on the bench as our I mean, we love our postman. We love our UPS guy. Like we know our FedEx guy, so, and so much so that they're part of our family, even around holidays. Like we're always asking about how their family's doing. So we were sitting on the bench and we were just so lucky to see the postman pass by. Me and Myra made a big old huge deal about it, right? We didn't care who was looking or what people were thinking. It was just about saying thanks, and that's all it ever should be.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be worried about what it looks like to someone else.
Right.
What you should be worried about, has someone been told thank you today?
That's right.
You should be worried about that. Everyone should be worried about that.
That's right. And thank you to so many people who are keeping the state moving and the country moving and the world really going in so many important ways. So it's easy to, it's not really easy for me to forget, but I don't want anyone to forget. There are so many people along the way that are critical to making, to keeping our economy going, even if it's slow right now, to keeping us moving.
One of the biggest lessons is how connected we are. I know in normal situations, we may not think about it. We're just busy with our lives, and a lot of people are, sometimes they're looking at the differences instead of the things that unite us. But these experiences, whether it's this, whether it is the flood that we've experienced, it helps us to realize over and over how connected we are. Because if one part of us is not working or being challenged, how this is affecting everything else.
That's right. And, we're connected, in the food chain and the supply chain, but we're also connected, interpersonally, right? So a dear friend of mine lost, her mom, and no one could go the other 2 days ago. And so no one could go to the funeral, right? And we're trying so hard to support her at a distance. And so it's really, I just thank goodness for technology, because if it were any other time, it would be even more challenging. And so I hope, and I know people are using it, and I just, encourage people to reach out, because you never know what people are dealing with. Yeah. And I think it's important to at least touch base.
Well, and we're dealing with so much that it changes too. What you dealt with yesterday is probably not what you're going to see today.
Correct.
What I was worried about 3 days ago is,
right?
That changes so swiftly and so fast. So that's even a more of a call to action for you to reach out, show gratitude, check in to people constantly. And, not just the same people. That's great. Right. Switch it up. Switch it up.
That's right. And what you guys are doing is so great because you have a different person, different perspectives, and you're sharing good work that's happening and important work. And it just reminds people of the good that's happening in the midst of all that we're dealing with. And so we will get to the other side of this, and we'll be stronger, I believe, because we are so connected.
Yeah. And this show, initially we started the show to help people to stay connected and to get a sense of community, but I can tell you how much it is helping me during this time.
Yeah.
I wonder about you, Rob. Like, I cannot even imagine doing.
I look forward to it. Don't get me wrong. It's a little stressful wondering if the technology is going to work today, but I get paid to do that. So
I delegate that technology to him.
I understand.
But this is a bright spot because for so long, and Dima and I have talked about this. For so long, we have such amazing people that we know, and she's got a huge circle of people. I've got a great network of folks that do amazing work every single day. And you don't always get a chance to pass that on or spread awareness. I mean, I try to every chance, right? But that's why this is going to continue after COVID, after the pandemic. We need to bring awareness to all these little pieces that all match up and play a bigger part to the puzzle. And so there's so many amazing people out there that we have to show off, like you. And Deborah,
but it's true. It's like, Rob, real quick, I'm sorry.
No.
But when you think about even on the entrepreneurship, trajectory, right? The pathway, there are so many great Lemonade Day to start with, right? Junior Achievement, Young Entrepreneurs, and then you have higher ed and other programs. I mean, pick the pathway. It doesn't have to be business or entrepreneurship. There are so many entities that, if aligned, could really make such an even deeper impact.
Well, and we're getting there, right? Because everyone's sort of chipping in and kind of the cross collaboration is happening, and it's happening because it has to. In the past, it was like, if you want to. And now I think not only do we need to, but we do want to as well. So
it's so much better when you do.
Yes, right.
It's like always better, in my opinion.
Agreed.
100%. So I have an idea. I just checked my calendar, and you mentioned May 19th. You have something fun and big going on, right? So maybe we bring you back.
Yes.
Also, Red 6 Media on the 18th. That's a Monday.
Great.
So mark it on your calendar. We'll wear our shirts, and we would want to hear about.
I want a shirt. I have to go buy a shirt.
I'll get the yellow one, so we'll all have the 3 colors.
Yes.
I love that. We definitely have to do that. That sounds awesome.
That sounds great.
Yeah, and we can have a lot of people on this platform. So maybe we bring one of the young entrepreneurs too.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh, Rob, let's bring your mentee. I think that would be
Skylar. That would be great.
Okay. Skylar. Type it right now, Skylar. Yes.
May 18th.
Well, and let's talk about that, because her product was and I mean, how applicable is this, right? It's for those students experiencing stress, test taking. I mean, their world has been shifted entirely. So I would love to have Sky on. I was so proud of her, and I would love to show her off.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
For all of our viewers that may be outside of Louisiana, these are ideas, especially the 19 Thanks is such a great idea. Check it out and implement it in your city or your country that you're living in. I know Deborah and we spoke, and one of the visions you have, Deborah, is to expand it globally. How amazing would that be? So check out 19 Thanks and join us, especially on May 19th, with everything that's fun that we don't know about yet, that we're all going to participate in.
Perfect.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for being on the show, Deborah. This was incredible.
Thank you so much for having me. I really, really appreciate it.
So much fun. Can't wait to do it again.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.